Isn't it weird to find yourself, because I think about this all the time. We're in a coalition that goes from Bernie Sanders to the Cheneys. I mean, I have to say to people, like, if you can't find a way to be happy in that spectrum, you're not going to be happy anywhere. No.
Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Good night and good luck.
I am delighted to be joined today by my friend Olivia Troye. She is one of the folks yesterday who appeared with Vice President Harris and a growing number of Republicans who endorsed her for president. Olivia is a former Trump administration official who saw the light, got the hell out, and understands the risks and the dangers that Trump poses in a second term.
4 years ago, I resigned from the Trump administration. As a Republican who dreamed of working in the White House, it was a hard decision. But as an American, it was the right one. I saw how Donald Trump undermined our intelligence community, our military leaders, and ultimately our democratic process. Now, he's doing it again, lying and laying the groundwork to undermine this election. It's his MO to sow doubt and division. That's what Trump wants because it's the only way he wins. And that's what our foreign adversaries want because it's the only way they win.
So with that, Olivia Troye, I want to welcome you to the show today. Thanks for coming on the Lincoln Project podcast. And I want to ask you first off the bat, talk to us about the event yesterday in Pennsylvania with Vice President Harris and the endorsements of you and some of your colleagues.
Yes. Hi, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Look, it was awesome. I mean, it was so inspiring and it just filled me with so much hope. It was very well attended. It was a few hundred people there. And, it was former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, Adam Kinzinger spoke. I spoke at it. Former Congressman Greenwood from Pennsylvania spoke, which was great. And then it was a stage full of, former members of Congress. I mean, Republicans there just kind of standing together. And I will say that I think the most powerful thing about it was the vice president's speech and her demeanor throughout the entire thing. I think she was incredible with the way she engaged everyone. And to me, it just really exhibited her commitment to really growing this coalition and saying, I am really telling you and committing to the fact that I want to be a president for everyone. And I think that's powerful. And it's because she went into the Lion's Den and went into Fox News and did the interview right after it.
She sure did. It's interesting to me because, you and I come from that world where the Republicans always tried to say this, they won't come on Fox. The Democrats are too afraid to go on and talk to Brett Baer or whomever. She walked in that door and he had one game in mind and she was going to play the truth game. And he did not care for that. I thought that was a very impressive sort of appearance. Olivia, as former Republicans, as people that were in the party for a long time and were pushed out of what is the Republican Party now, isn't it weird to find yourself, because I think about this all the time, we're in a coalition that goes from Bernie Sanders to the Cheneys. I mean, I have to say to people, like, if you can't find a way to be happy in that spectrum, you're not going to be happy anywhere.
No, it's really impressive. I was thinking about that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still, kind of living in the surreal space. I was walking on stage and I'm sitting there and I'm like, how did I get here? What is going on? I was like, okay, I'm delivering a speech at a Democratic event. And I just, but, it's been impressive to see really just kind of watch sort of a sea change here. And I think that's what's incredible now, right? I think it's us standing united. And I said this actually at the end of my speech. I was like, they can bully us, they can try to intimidate us, but they don't get to do that when we're standing together. I mean, there's more of us than them. And I strongly believe that. But boy, they sure the hell are loud. It is one of the things that they've been very good at for a long time. You've been through this personally. I've been through this personally.
where you leave and they suddenly don't treat you like somebody who has a disagreement. They treat you like a criminal and an enemy and somebody who's going to be punished and prosecuted and persecuted. Um,
An enemy from within, one might say.
Indeed, enemies from within. They're going to get to Mark Milley first, but they'll work their way down to you and me.
We're on that list for sure.
Oh, we're on that list. but it is. I mean, I felt a sea change in the I think since Liz Cheney stepped up. I think that was a moment where a lot of people recognized that the illusion that there were that there were no Republicans out there left who had a principle and a spine was shattered. And I think, as you just pointed out, that's something that I think is happening out there. I'm seeing it. I don't know if you are, but I'm starting to get friends I haven't talked to for 4 or 5 years, and they're sort of creeping towards us. They're not running towards us yet, but it's like, I'm really uncomfortable with him, but I don't love her. And
yes,
I think that's happening more and more to folks like us, right? Are you seeing that same thing?
Yes, absolutely. I would say I more so than, a couple of years ago, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very recent, actually. I would say within the last few months.
No doubt.
That's been the trend that I've been seeing as well.
There was a little bubble of it right after January 6, 2021. And then a lot of my same friends who were like, they drifted back to like, oh, well, it's communism or Trump. But now it's, and again, I'm not making the case that it is 100% or even 50%, but there's a discomfort out there now with him. And I think she's come out, and you've got a lot of experience in the Homeland Security side of this equation. I mean, frankly, she's the strongest Democrat on Homeland Security and international security and military issues that I can recall in my lifetime. That she is not playing around. She is a serious person on these matters. Talk to us a little bit how your experience reflects on what you know about where her policy positions are in these matters.
I think she gets a lot of criticism. They're trying to lump her into this whole narrative that the borders are, that didn't really kind of work, I would say.
Right.
And, I think she is actually strong on how she views immigration. And I think she's been very assertive in saying that she wants to actually work to fix the system. And it's hard. And you and I both know that is very hard, and that requires both sides to roll up their sleeves. And we don't, see a lot of will sometimes on that space. But I think she's been talking about it. She's addressing the thing that she's saying, I want to do screenings at the border on fentanyl. Like, she's addressing all the points that they actually, the Republicans claim that they want to do, but they're actually not very good at actually explaining how they're going to go about it or do policy on it. And she's sitting here saying, I support that comprehensive bipartisan bill, and I'm going to double down on it. She's actually said she's probably going to be stronger than Biden was on immigration. I think she needs to be.
Yeah. Look, it is absolutely. It's always been the false choice of the Republicans of saying you either take Trump's idea of a moat with robot alligators as the only solution,
strategy,
or it's wide open, and that's never been the case. But I think she's got a position right now, and again, the bipartisan border bill would have actually done the things they did. They claim are the biggest problems: the fentanyl, human trafficking, more border patrol agents actually on the front lines. All those things would have been addressed, but as you know, there's not often the will, as you just said, to get there. It's a former senator said to me the other day, an immigration bill with President Harris is still going to be like climbing Mount Everest twice. It is not going to be easy.
Yes, no, I agree with that 100%. And I think what's frustrating to watch, especially for someone like me that grew up on the border and really, I've spent the entire time crossing the border, really understanding the border. I'm the child of a Mexican immigrant. I think for me, it's become like such a fear-mongering tool to use immigration and immigrants and migrants on the GOP side of the house, right? We've fallen very far from where George Bush was on it.
Sure.
And it's incredibly frustrating as a Homeland Security person because we can secure the border. We can do partial deterrence on it, but we can also do it in a compassionate way and actually try to get to the root causes of migration, what's happening here, which we will never get to, by the way, if Donald Trump comes back into office. Again, he had 4 years and they did not do that.
Right. As you saw from the inside, there was no attempt to really address the pushes in the Central American economy that were driving those people north. That was
Absolutely
almost completely like a noise in the background. And if we do that, if we actually do that, which Vice President Harris has done some work on, if we do that and establish some kind of legal pathway for people to come here and work, a guest worker idea, you would end up having those people coming through legal procedural channels, through established crossings, all those things that would make the hard work of deterring the drug smuggling, the human trafficking, the fentanyl, that would make that work, I think, an order of magnitude easier for our law and safer for our law enforcement folk.
100%. It would help the entire system. But the honest to God truth is, a Trump presidency on immigration would bring way more racially charged extremism, which is what it was. Let's be honest, it was deterrence that way. The encampments will be real. The raids, I hate to think about what that really looks like, because there will be raids, and I think there's going to be a lot of communities and people left very, very rattled, I would say, and confused about what just happened here, like how is this being conducted. And I think there's a lot of unexpected consequences that people are not prepared for when they talk about these things and what it actually looks like. And the other thing I'll say on this is, like, when we look at the fear mongering that's happening here, I just think it's completely counterproductive, because their deterrent strategies actually did nothing to deter.
Right. The wall did not deter in a particular. No. I mean, COVID dropped the number, but the wall was not the cause. But that is something that he is describing a lot lately. Of, we're going to deport 25 million people. We're going to put people in camps. We're going to round people up. This country hasn't done that since World War II, and it is universally recognized that rounding up legal immigrants and American citizens in World War II was a moral, ethical, political, and military legal mistake, way up there in the highest levels of the worst ideas we've ever had.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about the tech bros too. I call it the tech bros out there.
Yeah.
They were the ones calling the White House. Actually, Silicon Valley was calling the White House, also saying, hey, these visas in the travel ban era, that's also a piece of it. We have to have a conversation about that. So there's all these different layers here. But anyways, continue.
No, I was just saying that again, as somebody with a Homeland Security background, I don't think people understand the scope of what would be involved. You said there would be raids.
Oh yeah,
there would have to be tens of thousands or more of these high impact police or military raids on individual residences and businesses. And this would not make America would look very, very different when this started. This would not end the way they think it will end. I think it's one of the things that Vice President Harris has been sort of putting now front and center, that the impracticality of it and the danger of it isn't just like you can't pull it off. It's that you shouldn't try to pull it off.
Well, and it's going to be the use of the military, right? That's going to be his go-to. Donald Trump, the one thing that I think was very striking to me the entire time when I was in the Trump administration is he really felt like the military was at his bidding to use in whatever way he wanted to do so, right? And so I think it'll be the military, the National Guard, Border Patrol, Customs and Border Patrol, CBP. They don't have all the resources, the federal agents, to conduct these raids. So you should fully expect it on to see, what does this look like? Does it look like military vehicles going through our neighborhoods? Is it going to schools, doing patrols there? Is it going to farms? I mean, and the other thing is, I think I talked to my Latino, friends. I talked to Latino voters, and I'm like, I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding of what the Office of Denaturalization truly means, because they don't care about the visa status, that legal resident alien status, the legal status. I mean, you've heard Donald Trump, what he said about the Haitians who are there legally. They're there in Springfield, Ohio, very legally.
They're legal.
And they don't care. So you should really expect that their immigration policy runs the gamut. There are no boundaries to it. And that's so un-American and undermining of the rule of law in general, of how we operate as a country.
So moving on to a slightly more cheerful subject, you're working Republicans for Harris right now. You're going around the country. Talk to us a little bit about some of the places you're going, what some of the stuff you're working on. Again, I saw you at the DNC. That was terrific. and you did a great job yesterday. So talk to us about how Republicans for Harris is going to be out there persuading some of these persuadable, which we now know there are a lot more than there used to be, Republican voters to cross the line this year for the good of the country.
We've been traveling to battleground states. There's been work being done in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, you name it, we've been there. I've been specifically focused on Arizona a lot. I've been to North Carolina, just got back from Pennsylvania. And I think, a lot of it is just growing this coalition on the ground. And while I think that there's, we've been working very hard to lay the permission structure across the board. That was what the event yesterday also was highlighting, was the fact that there was a greater unity of, these Republicans a lot of them came from Pennsylvania, and then they traveled from different places around the country to be there, just to show that we are really a coalition that's going to stand together and push against this extremism that we're seeing in the GOP. But I think what's really important is that while there's a national structure that's coming together, the most inspiring part of it for me is watching this work on the ground, where these communities are coming together, either they're canvassing together or they're gathering at houses, right? I attended an event where Mayor Giles, the current mayor of Mesa, Arizona, was there. We had about 100 people show up at this private home. And they were all having these conversations about how they've just had enough and they don't want to be lumped into this extremism. They don't want to identify with it. And they really just are hoping to pave a better way for the country. And also, in many ways, a lot of them say, if we can just sort of stand together and really push back on extremism, maybe we'll see the GOP change its way. I mean, I'm not holding my breath for any time soon, but let's be honest, we know what this really is. But I think that's also part of it. But I think it's important, though, because, like you said, it's been lonely at times and isolating. And when you get bullied and intimidated and the harassment, it can feel like you're on this island by yourselves. And I think that's what's important about doing this on the ground and getting these people together, because I think what we're seeing is that there's a growing movement on the ground in each of these states, because they're coming together and they're like, hey, I'm not alone. There are other Republicans like me. It's truly important. And, when we started Lincoln back in 2019 and early 2020, we looked at the numbers, and it was between 3 and 8% of Republicans could be persuaded. And that number was very small.
Yes.
It was like, how are we going to find these people? It's like we could sit these people around a table in a Waffle House. There's so few of them. But now it's between 7 and 15% of Republicans, depending on the state. And it's a growing number, and it's growing quickly. And I think there's a part of this that the more of us there are, the more of us there will be. And look, I don't know that the Republican Party can be saved. I think you and I probably both agree we need a center-right political voice in this country. We need a balance. We need multiple parties in the country. I don't want the Democrats or anybody to have sole control of the entire national agenda. But we do need to think about, that gift that authoritarians have is making you feel like you're the only one standing out in the field. And again, the more we have, the more we will have. And so I think that's why the work you guys are doing is so important, because a lot of it is talking to people at the grassroots. It's talking to people in the real world. It's talking to people who desperately want to whisper to somebody, I'm going to vote for her. I can't tell my wife. I can't tell my husband. I can't tell my friend, but I'm going to vote for her. You hear that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Those are some of the most interesting conversations. Like, they may not be publicly out there, but they're there. And I think that's part of the, hope of this, growing this coalition and visiting these ground states and getting people to talk to each other, because privately they may not be out there, publicly. I know I had this conversation with someone in Arizona, and they're like, I really want a Republicans for Harris sign, but I'm going to keep it inside the house. I'm not going to put it in my yard because I don't want to deal with the harassment from some of these people. And I kind of joked with them, and I was like, all right, everybody take your signs, put them up in your kitchen, but we know that they're there. And it doesn't matter, because what matters is what you're doing when you go in and you cast that vote.
That's right.
And so, And then my goal is that someday where there's going to be all these vintage Republicans for Harris sign hanging out in front of their yards when it's, when we've kind of like beaten this back, hopefully that would be the goal. And I think they're going to be there. I have faith.
Well, yeah, those private conversations, though, I mean, again, I'm seeing that. I know a lot of other former Republicans and non-Trump Republicans are seeing that. There is a craving for company and for a sense that, you know, we're not going to be the majority in the current Republican Party for a long time, if ever. But when it gets to a point where principled conservatism has a home, even if it's an ad hoc coalition inside of trying to elect Kamala Harris, the irony may be rich, but it's real, and it's for the good of the country. And that is one thing that I've found from the beginning of this thing. It's like, I've slept better at night in the last 9 years than I did for the 25 years of my career before, because doing the right thing has a sort of soul benefit that a lot of our friends who are still stuck in the matrix, and I always break it apart. You know, I'm sure you have the same thing. Maybe 20% of your friends are just totally cynical. They're like, screw it, he's a joke, but I got to make a paycheck, I got to pay the bills. I'm staying inside. And there's a lot of believers. And so, I mean, I think peeling off some of those folks that have come up across already is one of the things that you guys are doing so well, and giving them that permission structure to say, even if it's a private conversation, even if it's the sign in the kitchen and not in the yard, that is a signal to them that they're not alone, that they're not going to be hung out to dry by themselves.
Yes. You know, and I'm going to say this, I'm not going to get into, operations, I guess. I don't know. Or intel. I guess, I won't reveal my sources, but it would not surprise me if perhaps there are, you know, some Fox News workers or perhaps some in his own circle that are more about the paycheck and not really truly believing a lot of this.
Oh, I could guarantee you that.
Yeah. I would love to know what really happens when they vote. And now that I said that, watch the ketchup fly in Mar-a-Lago, because heads are going to roll. And I don't know. My gut just tells me that people know what Donald Trump is for the country.
They really do. They get it. And
not the true believers, they're lost, right? I'm not talking about Stephen Miller, dude. That guy is, I mean, Donald Trump is his puppet.
Look,
I'm sure, like
the Millers, Bannon, Stones, Patels, those guys are
Mike
done. They're never coming back. But but it is definitely,
they're too in bed with Putin.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a perfectly good political party in Moscow for you guys to run to next. But so where are you headed next, Olivia?
I will be I'm heading back to Pennsylvania. I'll be right there. And then, you know, honestly, whatever is needed, I'm willing to.
That's the ball game, my friend, right now. I know you were on a short time frame today, so I'm going to let you hop. But folks, Olivia Troye, tell folks where they can find you on social media, Olivia.
Yeah, I'm still hanging on X, so I'm Olivia Troye on there.
I know every day I'm like,
going on
today's
there,
the last day.
So you may not find me, because who knows? I've probably been obscured into the oblivion, and I don't even know. But I am on X. It's Olivia Troye, and I'm on Threads and Instagram. And
terrific. Well, Olivia Troye, Republicans for Harris, doing the work, changing the direction of this thing, bringing Republicans over for the good of the country. I appreciate you coming on, my friend, and we will talk to you again very soon.
Thank you, and thanks for all you're doing too.
Absolutely, thank you.
Good night and good luck.